Recording in progress.
Got to record the video too so we can put it on YouTube, which you didn't know was happening.
I wouldn't be mad about it if you forgot.
Mate, Amy Parmenter, first guest for 2022. What is going on?
Oh, I'm excited to be here. I feel like I've been listening to a few of your podcasts over the last few years. I listened to Sophie Dwyer's one when I was roommates with her when we were doing it. And I was like, oh, what's this podcast about? When can I go on it? So, you know,
Mate,
good to finally get the call up.
Now, this might actually come out a bit later, but the fact that we have some mutual friends, now I won't say who, but may have given me some dirt on you that I will uncover a bit later.
No, I'm going to be exposed.
But, mate, what did you have for breakfast?
I came prepared for this question, so I purposely had an interesting breakfast because I knew that this would come up. But it actually wasn't too interesting. But I had raisin toast, had a few berries, a coffee.
Well,
You
okay.
know, I like a big breakfast.
So, were the berries on the raisin toast?
No.
Okay,
All
right.
separate.
Okay.
Like, it's more of a like, oh, I'm still hungry. What else is in the fridge
Sure.
sort of situation.
What's your favourite berry?
Raspberry all the way.
Do you,
I can't usually afford them. I think that's why I'm a bit of a sucker for things that I can't always get, like Easter eggs, hot cross buns, mince pie. So like, I feel like raspberries sort of come under that because they're so expensive most of the time.
that's such a good reason to like them. Do you think blueberries are overrated?
Very overrated.
I think
Very overrated. I'll only have them with other berries.
I agree. I think they're quite like sour and tart. They're just not a nice flavour. And I think blackberries, very underrated.
Yes, I actually agree with that. I don't usually go for blackberries, but when they come up, it's always a nice surprise.
Absolutely. So, Ames, you played in the grand final last year. So you've had a big off season. What have you been up to?
Look, it actually doesn't feel like a very long off season because by the time we got back from camp, like had the grand final, then had a few weeks, then had camp, then I went to Adelaide for a week, came home. I felt like I had 2 weeks off, and then we were straight into pre-season. But you know, I've been trying to get through some study, so I'm nearly there. I got 3 subjects left this year, so it's good I could smash a bit of that out in the little break. Been doing a lot of tie-dyeing.
Yes.
Been tie-dyeing hats like the one you're wearing.
Yes.
And then, not too much. I moved into this house. Like there's 6 of us in this house, and we moved in right before I went into the hub last year. And so they've all literally spent so much time together because they were all in lockdown and I wasn't here. So I've just been like trying to hang out with all of them, and they've all got things to do now. And I'm like,
Okay.
yeah, getting used to being in this house in Coogee.
Mate, there's a lot of things in your answer that we're going to unpack. The first one is you live with 6 other people.
Oh, sorry. No, there's 6 of us. So 5 other people.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, my maths is terrible. But like,
That's way better.
yeah, there's 5 others in the house. Is that what happens in Sydney because rent is so expensive? Are there people like sleeping under stairs? What's going on? How big is the
Yeah,
house?
actually 4 of us sleep in this bed. No, you know, it does help with rent because it is so expensive, and we wanted to live near the beach. So it's a 4-bedroom place. There's 2 couples and 2 singles, but everyone is so chill. They all have proper adult jobs. So during the day, it's usually just me that hangs out. So sometimes it just feels like my house. And then they all come home and then we all get to hang out. But I love it. I grew up with there's 4 of us, like 4 siblings. So no, 3 siblings. I'm getting confused again.
Yeah, I'm stuffing you up now.
But so I'm used to like being in a big house. I think it'd be weird if it was just me and my boyfriend. We moved in together, which has been a big move as well.
Ooh.
But you know, so far so good. So yeah, it's been fun.
Is this the first time living with the boyfriend?
Yes, it is.
And how long has this been?
Well, it was before the hub that we technically moved into this house, but really it's only been since I moved back from Queensland. So yeah, only a few months, but it's been really good. He's really tidy and like likes cleaning and loves cooking and stuff. So he's literally like the perfect housemate. Like,
is there
he's been pretty good.
Is there anything he's done that you weren't expecting, or like something you've only discovered since you've been living together?
Oh, he's like really annoying when I go to bed and it's still messy. Like I'm always like I'm a morning person. I get up and clean. I pack my bag in the morning, and he's like has to do it before he goes to bed, or it stresses him out. So I'll be like ready to go to bed, and he'll be like still cleaning up the house, or like tell me that I have to move my shoes, and I'm like, oh, I just want to go to bed. So learning to live with that, but I'll take it.
Mate, unfortunately, I'm in the same basket as your boyfriend. I am quite organised. Like the alarm goes off at 4 a.m. because my partner is a newsreader on ABC. So she reads she starts work at 5. So I get up at 4, go to the gym, blah, blah, blah. But like I have my lunch made the night before. I have my gym clothes out next to my bed. And if I need to have a sleepy tea at 8 o'clock, then read my book. And if that's not happening, I'm like freaking out. There needs to be order and organisation in the house.
Oh, you two would get along well then. I feel like that I really have to fight my instincts to pack my bag the night before, always. And it means that I end up like washing my clothes in the sink in the morning before I go to training, that sort of thing. So I should do it. I know. I wish I had a bit more of that in me, but you know, Chris is slowly teaching it to me, I think.
So, Ames, you mentioned off season. Straight after the season, you went into camp. Talk to me about that. How was that?
Oh, it was all right. You know, just Diamonds camp.
Pretty cash, pretty low key.
Yeah, you know, no big deal. No, it was honestly like, it was such a cool experience to get to be a part of it. But like leaving the camp, I was like, oh my God, I want to play for the Diamonds. Like I already wanted to play for the Diamonds like since I was a kid, but seeing the culture that's being built there, getting to know the girls, like just getting to be a part of that environment, I was like, this is where I want to, like, you know, it would honestly mean so much to me seeing that, like just seeing what it actually is, and all, like getting to see the inside of all of that. Like what you see on the outside, it's like there is so much behind the scenes that is going on. How hard those girls work just like completely blew me away, and it was just so professional and so like, yeah, it was really, really eye-opening, but just a dream come true, to be honest. Yeah.
What I find really fascinating about your answer there is I would expect, obviously you work hard at the Giants and all your teammates work hard then, and I would assume that you're all working as hard as you possibly can. Can you sort of explain what the next level is like and how it goes up and how it feels different without obviously revealing any, you know, inside trade secrets or you know, like team bonding things that we can't talk about? That's all good. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think obviously Giants land is so hard to, like, some of the hardest workers I've got to work with ever. So it's definitely still that intensity. But I think once I was a part of the Diamonds environment, it was just like that level of expectation that was just there. Like the standards are just expected. It's not something that you're like working on, like they're the standards, like it's just, you're already there. And also I think it's the weight of representing Australia and having the like the coat of arms on your stuff. Like I think it just like gives that extra, like you're representing every single one of those little girls that is playing netball right now and dreams of being in that dress. And I think that's where the extra effort and work comes from, because you're not just playing for your club now, you're playing for all of Australia. So I think that's where it comes from.
So is there a lot of team, I guess, discussion or like values that, like you said, we wouldn't be aware of? It's not like everyone just rocks up, then you just, you know, put your green and gold bib on and you go out and go to training. There's like a whole set of, not criteria, but do you know what I mean? Is it a different environment?
So much. And that's something that, you know, we do quite a lot of work on that at Giants around standards and values, but that it was like on steroids at Diamonds. Like it was super intensive, very like led by the older players. And obviously Stacey coming in, she has all these fresh ideas and lots of people that she works with higher up that have heaps of awesome ideas and inputs as well. So I think like, yes, it's a massive focus. There's heaps of really clear standards. You know what you're signing up for, and it's really easy to like hold yourself accountable to them because it's so clear what they expect. So yeah, lots and lots of standards and values and work on that.
So I put out on Twitter and Instagram this morning that I was having on the podcast, and I've got a few questions that I'd like to ask that I'll filter through. One of them I'm going to bring up now because it relates to the Diamonds chat. This came from Jamie Spencer on Instagram. He said, obviously you were in the Diamonds camp and you were close to selection. What feedback did you receive with Com Games in mind?
I think that first camp, like I was really excited to be there. I think I was just taking it all in. I was like, getting to learn from all those defenders, from Ash Braz, from Liz, like having all of those people. I just felt like I was learning and learning and learning. And I think, hopefully if I get another opportunity, I'll go in with more like confidence, and it's not all going to feel really new. So that was something that I think I sort of got a bit of feedback around, like, now you have to own it. Like you're not like learning anymore. Well, you're still obviously always learning, but like you need to step up and be that level now. You're not like coming into it. If that, I didn't explain that well.
Yeah, no. It does though, because
saying?
like at the Giants, you play wing defense every week and you start. Going into the Diamonds, you weren't in the team, so you can learn from someone who's more experienced in that position, and then I guess also take that back to Giants and level up the expectations of your own team. But now that you've been in the camp, you know what the expectations are, so you have to bring those.
Yeah. And it was more about like keep getting better, keep working with Julie and our staff, and I guess hopefully I can get some more feedback throughout the season when we're back into it again. But like, I think when you look at the quality of the players in that squad, like I just feel like I still have quite a bit of work to do. And that's my focus this preseason, has been really like working on the things that I need to get better at across all the positions. And yeah, it's probably like more of a confidence thing for me. I think like I was a bit starstruck for the first few days at camp. I think like barely said a word. So I think now that I know them, I know that they're all amazing, incredibly like humble people, and yeah, really keen to, get amongst it again if I get the opportunity.
Did it help that you and Sophie Dwyer were there together? Obviously from the Giants, kind of had, a familiar face around.
Yeah, I think, so she's like my little sister. We spent a lot of time together because during the break, obviously Jamie Lee had her family up in Queensland. So Soph and I were in an Airbnb for, I think it ended up being like 3 or 4 weeks, like a long time. So she knows me really well now. I can't believe she didn't get sick of me. But I think going to camp, it's always good to have some familiar faces, and having Jay there, who's obviously been around that environment for ages. I could ask her questions without being like worried that I was doing something wrong. So it's good to have both of those girls there. But by the end of camp, I think you'd forget who's in who. Like, it's crazy how I went from 4 weeks earlier being in that grand final and being like, oh, the Swifts, like, can't stand them, like, and then going into camp being roommates with Maddie Turner and literally obsessed with her. Like, she is awesome. Like, you know what I mean? You just learn like that once you're off the court and you're in that Diamonds environment, it doesn't matter where you're from or, which club you're a part of. It really does just like all go out the door, and there's a big new focus instead.
As a fan, I think that's something really hard to detach from, that you have this like inbuilt like animalistic DNA that like, I go for this team and I hate everyone else from the other team. And even doing this podcast is getting like, because I used to work at Netball Victoria and the Vixens, so the Vixens were my team. And now meeting other people from other teams, it's like, oh, they're not bad people. They just play for another team. And it's really, now, I don't want this word to be taken out of context, but I think it's really beautiful that the girls can go into a team environment and have, it seems like there's a sisterhood almost for the Diamonds, that they're creating, I guess, legacies for players that are coming up through. And like you mentioned before, young girls that are watching.
Yeah, I think like if you ask like 90% of the netballers at the top level why they play netball or why they started playing netball, it would be like, oh, because I made friends, and I actually don't think you ever lose that. Like, I think we all love playing netball, but like I play netball because of the girls that I get to meet and the girls I get to play with. And, throughout my netball journey, I've played with hundreds of different girls and they're still all my friends. You know what I mean? So I think like we're all such like-minded people. Our lives are similar. Of course, you're going to get along with them. And like, I think it's cool to get to play with people who during the season you're against, but then I get to be like, oh, like, is this hard? When I defend you like this, is this hard? Yeah. Or like those sort of things, like get insights that are so like you don't get to get during the season. I thought that was so interesting that everyone was so generous with their knowledge and their insights and that sort of thing. Like whether they're going for the same position as you, like Ash Braz, she would give me so much feedback and information, like, and that's just so generous when we're the exact same position. I think it's really unique culture where everyone feels comfortable to do that, and it genuinely is about winning instead of like I'm going to get on the court. Like it was really cool.
What was the feeling like watching back at home, given you were in the camp, and then I'm assuming you watched all the games like everyone else.
Yes, I was up at 1:00 in the morning.
Yep.
It was cool. Like I just was so excited to see them out playing. You know, it's been a long time since there's been international netball, and now knowing what goes on inside, I was like, that just makes me want it even more. Like the fact that they're killing it over there, it was just like I felt like I'd been a little tiny part of it, which was nice as well.
What are your goals for 2022 when it comes to the Diamonds?
Oh, I don't know. I don't think like for me the Diamonds has to be a bonus. Like, I have no control over that. It's like was something on the end that, you know, is amazing to be a part of. But I think for me, I'm just focusing on Giants, focusing on training and trying to get better every day. And then, you know, whatever happens, happens. I think like can't have too many goals around that because you just have no idea what's going to happen, who's going to play well, you know, so not too many goals in that way. Just like keeping in the back of my mind is a little bonus.
Do you reckon, now can you take the hat of Amy Parmenter, actual netballer and Giants contracted player off and just put on like Amy Parmenter netball fan hat on? Do you think there'll be any changes to the Diamond squad that goes to Com Games? Can I even ask you that? Do you know what I mean? Like you could potentially be one of the changes, but like they won, they played really well, but there's a whole half a season, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think they looked so good over there, but seeing the depth at camp as well, like I'm like Maddie Proud had one of the best seasons I think I've ever seen her had and trained really well at camp. And I think she was really unlucky to miss out. But again, like who do you, like there's just so many good, especially center courts, like there's so many good players. So you never know. I think you don't know what can happen. I think it's really cool that they all went over there and absolutely smashed it and gave it everything because it does show that, you know, that it's working. Whatever Stacey's starting to bring into the environment is really working. So I don't know. I literally can't say. Kira Austin's going to be back on the court soon. So that'll throw a bit of a spanner in the mix, I think, as well, as a big Kira Austin fan.
Absolutely. So I want to switch gears. Mate, who is Amy Parmenter? Talk to me about what's important to you.
Oh, what's important to me?
I've never asked anyone that before, but someone told me.
Deep.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you didn't see that coming. No, I was talking to someone and they just said that you are a very fascinating, hardworking person that has values and you know what you want. And I just thought that would be a really interesting thing to talk about.
Okay. I think, who am I? What's important to me? I think, like, ever since I was young, my dad's always said to me, like, don't put all your eggs in the one basket. Like, I've been a netty. I've loved netty for so long, and all I want to do going through school was play netty. Like, oh, I have to miss school. That's okay. I want to play netball. And he's always, like, instilled in me, like, it's more than just netball. Like, what if you get injured? What if you don't get a contract? Like, make sure you have other things going on. And, like, you know, the likes of Sam Pullman, who's always been a mentor for me in my journey, she's just always like backed that up and been like, yeah, like I'm doing it. Like she's basically the queen of Newcastle. Like I think like she's been a really, yeah, exactly, a really big, like supporter in my other things off the court as well. And I think, you know, going into my netball career, I met Molly Croft, who's like my little sister. We do the Tata project together, and you know, she was in the hospital when I first met her, and she, like, I don't know, she was the reason that I realized as a netballer, like just playing the sport I love, I could have more of an impact than just like running around on a court. Like just by doing the thing that I love, I could help other people and like have a little platform for change. So I think that's something that happened right at the start of my elite netball career and just like will always stick with me. So I don't know if that really answered your question, but I think like I love netball, but I want to be more than netball. I want to be a good person and, you know, have other things going on as well. So that's what I'm trying to do. I don't know if I'm actually doing that, but
you absolutely are. Definitely. You definitely are doing that. In researching for this chat, I read an article that was on the ABC website that Brittany Carter wrote. I think it was in 2020 maybe. And it was about the tie-dye project and how it started and about the story, how you met Molly. For those who don't know, can you tell me how the tie-dye project started?
The tie-dye project started back in 2017. I've got two sisters, and we were just hanging around one summer, and we were like, oh, what should we do? Like, haven't got much to do. So we decided to do some tie-dyeing. And I feel like recently tie-dyeing has become a bit more like trendy, but when
Bit
back
more
in
cool.
2017, yeah, no, it wasn't really a thing. We just used to do it when we were like quite young. We used to do it at our school fetes and that sort of thing with my mum. And then so fast forward to 2017, did some tie-dyeing, and people were like, oh, we want a tie-dye shirt. Like, do you have any more? So we ended up going to like every single Kmart, Target, Big W, buying all the white shirts and tie-dyeing them. And then people bought them, like, oh, we could make a bit of money here, do a bit of fundraising. And, you know, it's sort of connected to my mum. So we decided to fundraise for the Cancer Council because we lost mum to cancer in 2013. So it was something that's, you know, just been a way that we felt like we could give back and remember mum. And it was very small. I think we sold like maybe 100 or 200 t-shirts and did it on my dad's, like, we live in a tiny terrace in Paddington. So we did it on my dad's nice new deck, and he was a bit devastated. There was dye everywhere. It was tiny, but, you know, a lot of fun. And then fast forward to 2019, so 2019, I think, met Molly. She also loved tie-dyeing, had a similar passion for fundraising for cancer research, or, you know, to help fight cancer. And also was from Dubbo, so the whole of Dubbo automatically jumped on board and bought t-shirts. We did 1,000 t-shirts that year, which was really cool. And it just like took off from there. I think we went from raising maybe $3,000 to raising $25,000 that year. And since then, it's just been like a bit of a crazy roller coaster. We've been like doing hats and socks, like your hat, and yeah, recently netball bibs. And yeah, our motto is look for a rainbow in every day, which is something that one of Molly's good friends told her during her chemotherapy. And it was just something that even when they were having the worst days, they'd look for something silly that would make them laugh, something tiny. And so, yeah, that sort of stuck with us and fitted our theme well. So that's our little motto.
Mate, the thing I find so incredible is you have the biggest smile on your face that whole time telling that story. So it clearly brings you a lot of joy. How did you meet Molly?
It was one of my first ever netball appearances at the Westmead Sydney Children's Hospital telethon, and she was there. I went with Kira and Sophie Garvin actually, and we went up and talked to her. She was a big netball fan, and, you know, straight away we clicked. And I think I gave Ange, her mum, my number, and, you know, you always give people your number and you never know. And then literally, like, she came to the games.
Is that a
well,
thing?
not everyone. I don't hand out my number everywhere. But, like, you know, you say, oh, we should catch up or whatever.
Yeah.
And we actually did. Like, I've been to Dubbo a handful of times. Like, she always comes to the games. We'd visit her at Ronald McDonald House. So it's turned into a really beautiful little friendship. They're like my second family. And, yeah, she's had an extraordinary impact on my whole life. So, yeah, pretty special to have met her that day.
What do you think it is about Molly that's created that special friendship?
Oh, we should have got her on the podcast too. She is like, you have to like listen to her talk to understand why she's so incredible. But this kid has been through the worst of the worst cancer treatment. And every time I would see her, she would have the biggest smile on her face. She'd be like cracking jokes. Like, she's got this like really cheeky humor, like that's going to get her into trouble. But I just think like to see someone go through so much and just always be so grateful. Like, she'd be like, oh, like, thanks so much for coming. Or her mum would be saying, and I'd be like, no, thank you. Like, you're doing this for me. Like, it was just, yeah, I just think their humility and their compassion for other people when they're going through such hard stuff is just amazing. And she's just like someone you won't forget. She's just the best kid ever. So, yeah.
So you mentioned that it was 2013 when you lost your mum. I've also lost my mum in 2017. What does it mean for you and your siblings to be able to do tie-dye and I guess feel like you have that connection to your mum and also feel like you're helping other people who've been through such a terrible time?
Yeah, I think now it's been a few more years. I've had a bit more time to, like, you know, there's still such like the worst days and it's always hurt still. But I think to be able to turn it into a way to remember mum instead of being sad. It's a way to celebrate. It's a way to like, I think this just has my mum written all over it. Like she was crafty, like she had all these big plans and how to make like money for fundraisers or school fete. And like, I just think it's weird. Like we do the big tie-dye weekend over the end of November and my mum's birthday. It's always on my mum's birthday. And I just think like it's weird how the world works in funny ways. And it was kind of always meant to be. I think she has a big thing to do with this, I think.
Mate, that's really lovely. So was there ever any plan to, because obviously netball is an income for you. Every time you've mentioned tie-dye, the next word you've said is fundraiser and raise money. It's never, was there ever a time where you thought, oh, we could make a business out of it? As opposed to like a fundraiser charity. Do you know what I mean?
I think I would get a lot of consumer complaints. I think I get away with a lot with the fundraiser. Like, okay. You know, I'm not the most organized person and I'm not great with Excel. I'm not great with getting back to people and all these things. So I think if I was making money off this, people would not be happy with the customer service. Okay. But I think because they understand that I'm not a professional, I can say that they like have a bit more of a leeway for like understanding.
Absolutely.
And like, no, I think the reason that it's so special is because it is about raising money. It's about, you know, like we do the big weekend and everyone comes and helps out. And I think it's a way for people to get involved and actually put their hands on something that's going to help and make a difference. And, no, I think like long term, I think I can see my career going into the non-for-profit, like that sort of space. But, you know, the tie-dye project is always just going to be to raise money, to make a difference. I think that's, you know, what drives me is seeing Mol's journey and Mum's journey. And like, if I can do anything to make that any easier, I want to do it. So it'll always stay that way, I think.
You mentioned that the amount of money you raised previously, now you had a huge sale? You don't say sale. You don't say event. What do you say? You had a huge, with the bibs you were selling in the Diamonds camp. Auction. Oh my God.
Oh no, we did that in the Diamonds camp. It was probably just a sale. I
don't know what you call it. No, but it was an auction though. Like all the players signed the bibs. How cool is it that the whole of Super Netball, players from different teams are getting behind it? Can we see do you think we can, where's Kelly Ryan? Do we need to give her a call? Can we get a tie-dye project round where everyone's bibs are tie-dye?
Oh, you might be onto something. There's a few things coming up. Can't say too much.
Okay, good.
But tie-dye is not over for the year. Well, until next year. I'm not going to do any more tie-dyeing, but we've done a few things that are going to come up in the next month or two. So a little hot tip.
Okay, watch this space.
But yeah, it was so cool to see those. So at Diamonds Camp, they do a little thing where new people coming in, like talk about something important to them and who they are, and so you get a bit of background about them. And I sort of mentioned the tie-dyeing thing, and then some of the girls, like Maddie Turner was my roommate at the time, she's like, oh, let's do some tie-dyeing here. And I was like, oh no, like we couldn't do that, like no one's gonna be into tie-dyeing. And then next minute I'm like standing there and all the Diamonds girls are tie-dyeing on the grass outside. I was just like, it was a massive pinch me moment because I was like, it's not happening right now. Like they're all tie-dyeing. So that was just blew me away. But I think it's a massive reflection of the culture and how much they want to embrace everyone and get around. It was just, I think that's the biggest reason why I was like, this dress is special. Like this culture is special. And I think there's a really amazing thing growing out of that group. So it was incredible. But I also sold the t-shirts for $100 and then had this auction, and I realized that, you know, I've definitely undervalued them.
Absolutely.
Learning curve.
How much did we raise how much did you raise for the auction?
Oh, with the bibs, we raised about $13,000. I was beside myself. I think Molly and I were like crying on the phone, like, I can't believe this is happening. But, you know, the lucky ones that got a bib.
Yeah. So obviously you're aware, I got one of the bibs. I bid on the goalkeeper bib that was signed by everyone. And because the auction started at 9 a.m, finished at 6 p.m, I made a bid throughout the day. And then I set an alarm on my phone for 5:58 p.m. to go back and check it. and then make another bid. So
Legend.
I'm waiting for it to be shipped, and then it's going to sit on my wall in the study/studio. I call it a studio. It's not. It's a study. But it's going to sit behind me every episode, and I'm just so, like, I don't know. There's no amount of money that's too much money to give to charity, I think. And when you get something cool out of it, like, and the hats are so fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's just such a great, amazing thing you're doing. So props to you.
Oh, thank you for getting around it. I feel like it as soon as I saw you like, oh, do you want to come on the podcast? I was like, yes, I would do it. He's the biggest legend. He's been getting around all my stuff, so I would do anything for you. And about the shipping, I've had a disaster. I've sent them over to Sunday because Sunday Ariang didn't sign them. She must have been busy during the camp.
Yep.
And I sent them over to Darwin because they were supposed to be quarantining there, and it only arrived now and they're already in Perth, and I have to redirect it to Perth. So they are coming, but it's just been... It's doing a trip of Australia before it gets back to Newcastle.
Makes it a bit extra special.
Yeah.
To have it all those Ks. Ames, you mentioned earlier that you're at uni. What are we studying?
Studying law and advertising, and it's taken me a long time. I'm going into my 7th year now. So, yeah, I've got 3 subjects left, but I'm very keen to get out of there.
Law and advertising, they're quite different. Like, do many people put those 2 degrees together?
Not really. I think I wanted to do law because I really enjoyed those sort of legal thesis sort of things. Like, I liked the foundations of it, but I don't think I would be a lawyer. I don't know if that's really the space that I want to go into, but having that background knowledge like comes up all the time. So I loved that degree. Well, I'm still doing it, but so far it's been good. On the advertising side of it, like I thought it would be a bit more creative. It was very like strategy and that sort of thing. So I was hoping it would be a bit more creative, but I still really enjoyed it. And I think, you know, I don't really want to go into advertising either. I don't think I have the heart for advertising, but, you know, it was still really good. I enjoyed the degree. It's good to have something else going on while I'm playing. So I'm keen to get out now.
How do you seriously find time between tie-dye project, Giants, and a double degree?
Well, I'm doing the degree very slowly, so that helps.
Yep.
Usually it works out quite well because the tie-dyeing's like, you know, in the summer holidays, and then sort of netball and I feel like it's such a nice relief to go and think about something else, or to go in and talk to people who have no idea about the netball world, or if you lost the game on the weekend, if you played terribly. I find that like really refreshing and a bit of a perspective shift. So I usually do it like have my classes a bit after the games, like just to like find a bit of space and have a bit of a like reality check that, you know, the world will go on if you've had a terrible game. So yeah, I really like it, but I think now I'm like getting to a stage where I'm like, that's enough essay writing for a little while, I think.
So a little birdie told me, you actually mentioned before though, that you're not the most organised person. You've been known to forget to charge your phone. You're never really early to training. Tell me more about that side of Amy Parmenter.
I am early to training. I am, because I live so far away from Olympic Park that I have to leave early in case there's an accident. So sometimes I get there ridiculously early, and everyone thinks that I get there late, but you know, I need to get rid of that reputation. But I'll give it to you, I'm not very good at remembering things. Terrible, leave things everywhere. It's one of my worst qualities, but it's hard to fix.
But is that because you've got so much going on, or are you just forgetful?
You know, everyone always tells me to like check before you leave, like look behind you and check that you haven't left anything. But then I have to remember to look behind me to check. So I don't know. I think you're right. It's when I'm busy, I get a bit more like scatty. But I'm definitely getting better. I was very bad when I was younger. So I think my boyfriend's constantly like, look behind you, like, what have you forgotten? So I think it's getting better. And, you know, I think it did let me down for a while there. I was getting in quite a lot of trouble. So I got a bit of a kick up the bum, and now I'm a bit better, but still not great.
Is it true that you may have a song that you sing that helps you remember your phone and keys?
Yes, every time I leave the house, I sing phone, wallet, keys, and then I remember. I don't know who's told you this, but you know, everyone's heard me sing my song because I genuinely have to do it everywhere.
Can we just have one more rendition of it?
phone, wallet, keys.
I love that it's going up. That's
catchy.
catchy. It is catchy. Now, and last one that will throw you under the bus. Apparently, you're scared of toothpaste.
Who has given you these insights? Yes.
That was a question. That was a question that someone responded to my Instagram story. The Instagram account that came from was K Austin.
Oh, yeah, that sounds about right. I am like forever, like since I was young, I have always hated toothpaste. Is it a liquid? Is it a solid? Like that stresses me out from the start. And then, you know, living in a house with six of us, it's been really. I know. I can't handle it. Like, you know, when there's toothpaste like around. Oh, I can't even talk about it. This it stresses me out. It really does. I don't know. I can't. I still brush my teeth though. I just needs to stay in the tube.
So you're very pedantic about it that when you put the toothpaste onto your toothbrush, you then close the lid fully over and like put the cap back on. I'm just like, nah, get it on, throw it over there. That's tomorrow's problem.
Nah, to the point that if someone had used my toothpaste and it has stuff around there, I have to like leave and get someone to go in, clean it, and then I can come in. I know, it's an issue, especially like living in like the hub, and I was constantly with new people. I had to re-explain my issues with toothpaste and tell them to go and put it in their bag. I can't look at it.
Is that the most dramatic you are in any aspect of your life?
Yes.
Okay.
Big time. Like a lot of things I let go. I'm not a very stressy, I'm messy. I'm okay with mess. It's just that like, no. It's a hell no.
Ames, finally, last question I've got for you. What are your goals in the broader sense for 2022?
My goals. I really want to win a premiership, but you know, that can't really be a goal because I can't really control that. Got to do the little things.
Do the 1%ers, you know.
Premiership would be really good. Yeah. I think like losing that grand final last year like hit me hard. You know, it was so close, and you know, standing there, I think the confetti in my face was like a big moment for me. I was like, I'm not losing another grand final. Like it was like stuck on my cheek. I was like, this is not on. So yeah, I think like that's really driving me on at training at the moment, which is interesting because in the past, like I've always loved winning. I'm really competitive, but I haven't really been that close to winning a premiership before. So like seeing what it actually is like, I was like, oh, that's why it's so good to win. Like you get that feeling, and that was exactly what I wanted. But I think goals more broadly is, you know, I want to finish uni. That'd be a good one. I want to, you know, I want to feel really confident to play all the positions, have a go in not just wing defense, but hopefully center, especially at training. Like, you know, sometimes there's not much room for movement in the games, but I think really focusing on that. And then I think just enjoying training and getting to be out there and being really like, I don't know, I just think you don't know how long you get to play for. You don't know how often you'll be on the court before you get an injury or before you get COVID and you're stuck inside. So I think just the last few weeks I've been just grateful to be able to be out on court because, you know, it might not last long. So yeah. That was a very long-winded question. Sorry.
Oh mate, no, that's good. Something that I haven't asked you that I needed to, that's a bit like scandalous and a bit of like netball goss. Grand final, 3/4 time. Lauren Moore was walking to the bench and bumped Tilly. Now, there's so much like, what was the bump? And then Loz moved to the Giants and now it's like, ooh, now they're teammates. Was there like a joke made of it at the first training, or like, is anything come of that? Or was it not spoken about?
I think it's a bit not spoken about because those two, like Loz and Tills, are the most like, they're just ridiculous. They're hilarious. They like take the piss out of each other all the time. Like I think like they would have forgotten about it by now. I just feel like both of them get so like in the games they're both so like revved up and all this stuff, and then off the court they're just like completely different. So I think, you know, Losmore has been an incredible addition into our environment. I have I played with Loz back in like under 17s days, and like she has just grown into the most amazing person. You know, I think Swift was so good for her, and she's learned heaps in that environment, and she's bringing a lot of, not like secrets or anything, but more just like some of the best qualities of the Swift. She's really like, you know, brought on herself and bringing that into our environment. I think she's just a breath of fresh air, and I'm loving having her in the team. So I think everyone sort of forgot about that, and they're like, oh, we love Loz, bring her in, like whatever you need, Loz, like we love having you here. So yeah, it's all gone. No bad blood at all.
Right. No, and I didn't think there'd be any bad blood, right? But I thought it'd be funny if, like,
imagine
at the first,
holding a grudge still.
I thought it, like, at the first training, it would have been funny if, like, Tilly walked past her and then everyone was like, yeah, gotcha, classic, you know, but obviously it didn't happen, so that's fine.
We should do a reenactment, actually. I'll get him to do it at training.
Can you please film that? Can you imagine how viral that would go with all of Netty Twitter? Like, they would love that. That'd be so... Oh, TikTok. Like, TikToks are so big. Mate, the content.
Maddie Hayes big on the TikTok, on the content, so I'll get her onto it.
I've had Maddie on the podcast, and I said, you need to pitch a segment to Laura, your media manager, that Maddie Hay needs to have access to the Giants' socials on game day, and that segment is called Hey, It's Game Day. And it's Maddie Hay just taking us behind the scenes. Oh, mate.
I rate that.
Too much content, not enough time. That's what I say. Amy Parmenter, mate, thank you so much for being so generous with your time on a Friday night. And thank you for taking us behind the bib, and best of luck with all your endeavours for 2022.
Pleasure. Happy to be here. I'll hopefully see you around the court soon.